Hi guys. So today I'm going to read chapters 6 and 7. You don't have to make any response to this. I mean, please listen to it, but there's no assignment for these next two chapters. You will Friday we have off, so don't get on your computer for school on Friday. So Monday, I'm kind of thinking I'll put together a little quiz over the first 6 chapters. So be sure that you've watched all the videos that I've put up, okay? And we had a staff meeting yesterday, and Miss Stanton asked that we only give, just a couple of assignments a week. So, sorry, I'm going to cut that down. I'm thinking probably I'm going to go ahead and read a chapter every day, but maybe have responses a couple of times a week. I'm thinking maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays. That would be easy to remember. Okay, so really focus on those core classes. They're also really only supposed to be given an assignment that needs to be done and turned in just a couple of times a week, because we know you guys have a lot going on. So we want to make it as easy for you as possible and still keep you smart and moving forward so that you're ready for next year. Okay? And thank you guys for all your responses on the reading. Okay, here's 6 and 7. It starts with another poem. As days become a week and the week draws into a fortnight, Lindy's mother is holding Sean when she sees a movement in his eyes. I take him into my arms and stare into his face. In his eyes there is a quivering, a strange crackling. I hold him close. Everything that he was ever going to be, everything that was going to become, begins a slow unraveling. If you saw me having a seizure, you'd swear I was in pain. Maybe part of me is, but the truth is that as much as I love my mom and sister, my brother and father, I'd trade their lives in a heartbeat if it meant keeping my seizures. I know that sounds terrible, but I can't imagine my life without the wonders of having seizures. I don't know when a seizure will strike, but when it does, it's like a miracle. When it first starts, it's like a little shock. And it begins in my head, just behind my eyes, a small crackling feeling. And then almost instantly, it shifts into a swirl of color that shuts down my vision. Red comes first, and then light blue, which turns slightly darker, until it's as though I were looking at the world through dark, blue-tinted sunglasses. Only I'm not looking out at the world, at least at the normal world. The images I see are from inside my head. It's as though my eyeballs are turned around backward, looking into my brain, and what I see is everything I've dreamed, experienced, or imagined. The medicine I'm given to control the seizures lessens my muscle contractions, allowing the seizure to affect only my brain. That is great. But the bad part of my seizures used to be the way I felt when my muscles would spasm. It felt like I was going to crack apart. But now the medicine keeps my muscles relaxed even as the seizure is happening and protects my body from injury. I've heard that seizures have been known to break bones, including backbones. Like I don't have enough problems? That's just what I need, to be paralyzed with a broken back. As the seizure continues, I begin to smile and laugh. One of my doctors explained to my mom that this reaction is just a atomic, uncontrollable, systematic reflex, whatever that is. The doctor said the laughter is just a response to waves of electric impulses flowing through my frontal lobe. Actually, I know that my smile and laughter during seizures are really irritating to my family, especially my brother, who hates my seizures almost as much as my dad hates them. I guess it's pretty annoying to be around someone who just laughs randomly. just laughs and laughs for no reason at all. I'm sure it kind of rubs in just how disconnected I am. But to me, the laughter always feels great. It's kind of like when I imagine the giggles must feel like when everything seems hilariously funny. These laughter moments in my seizures really feel like happiness to me. Why not enjoy them? Think about it. Why should we care whether what makes us happy is just an electrical impulse in our brain or something funny that we see some fool do on TV? Does it matter what makes you smile? Wouldn't you rather be happy for no reason than unhappy for good reasons? All I know, though, is that my electric happiness doesn't help my family much. Imagine a world where every time you laughed, everybody else looked sad. After the smile laughter part of my seizure is past, the room begins to swirl around me, not fast or dizzying, but slowly, allowing me to remember it, see it as it was in the moment before the seizure arrived. Of course, it's not the room out there that's spinning, it's the room in my head. I get a 360-degree view of every detail. What happens next is kind of hard to put into words without sounding like a moronic advertisement for the Granola New Age Spirit World Gazette. The simplest way to describe it is to say that as the room swirls and I finish checking off everything around me, well, my spirit leaves my body. I hate to say this, I mean, what is a spirit anyway? And by saying this, I guess I mean that I accept that we have spirits and that they come and go from us. I don't even know that I really believe any of that, but I know what happens when a seizure comes. And as the room finishes its swirling, the blue haze lifts and colors become as sharp and as clear as crystal. And then as my laughter winds down to a slow, steady breathing, a part of me does rise from my body. I watch. I guess what I mean is that my spirit watches my bent, unconscious body from somewhere outside myself. If it didn't happen to me, I wouldn't believe it. The first few times my spirit left my body, I was 10 years old. It was about the same time the doctors got my seizure medication just right. And when it first happened, it scared the heck out of me. I thought I was dead, and I'd never go back into my body again. But then I felt afraid to wander too far away from myself. After a while, though, I realized as soon as my body awakens from a seizure, I'm forced back inside myself. My little trips have time limits. I can't make a seizure happen or even stop one, really. Although sometimes if I concentrate hard enough, I seem to be able to hold it off for a little while. For the most part, though, my seizures are not interested in what I'm doing at the moment they hit. They just kick down the door to my brain, charge in, and make themselves at home. Of course, except for seizures, my life is one of total dependence. Once I started being able to sneak away from my body, seizures became very important to me. I love the feeling of movement, the pure joy of being able to fly. I love the feeling of escaping from my screwed up, worthless body. I love my seizures because they give me the kind of life I imagine normal people enjoy, and then some. They give me freedom. When my spirit's out of my body, although I have no physical body, I have complete control of my emotions. I do all the things I see and imagine other people do. I soar, sail, walk, run, skip, sit, lie down, roll over, wiggle like a snake, swim like a fish, leap tall buildings in a single bound, slither through cracks in the sidewalks and walls, zip over the clouds, whirl like a devilish dance like John Travolta, and sing like Kurt Cobain, and look the world in the eye. When I'm in a seizure, I go to a different reality, and it's like I can do anything I ever wanted to do. I remember touching Cindy's hands as she slept and thanking her for teaching me to read. I remember sitting at the edge of the ocean and digging my toes into the sand, watching whales blow spray and then dive down into the black water. I remember yelling in my dad's ear, telling him I was okay. I remember kissing my mom's cheek and cuddling her. All these memories are hazy, as if coated in that filmy stuff that photographers use to make homely people look pretty in their studio photographs. Are these memories of real things or imagined ones? I don't know. Are your dreams real or imagined? You don't imagine a dream, do you? I don't know what's real or what's imagined when I have a seizure, and to tell you the truth, I don't care. All I know is that my seizures are a nice part of my life, a part I love. Seizure trips are as real to me as sitting in this wheelchair right now, remembering in perfect detail 2 months ago when I heard the sounds of the furnace humming and my brother talking on the phone to one of his friends about getting pizza and a half rack. My seizures are as real as my schooling and a lot more sane. Oh, did I mention I go to school? Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, it was at school yesterday that I had to face the fact again that my dad might be thinking about killing me. Chapter 7. Sean does not grow, he stays the same. His arms and legs are overcooked spaghetti, laced with the bones of dead birds. Behind his eyes, it's blank as fog over the snow. That was part of another poem. I'm assuming his dad is writing these poems that come between these chapters, or before these chapters, but it doesn't really tell us. But that's something that we can probably infer, because the first poem that we read a few chapters back, it did tell us. Remember, that was his dad, and he was reading it in front of this huge crowd. So we can infer that the rest of these poems are also poems that his dad is writing. School. The dummies class. Geez, what a zoo. The severely, profoundly handicapped special education program at Shoreline is an amazing piece of work. There's only 7 of us kids in the room, along with our teacher, Mrs. Hare. That's a strange name. It's spelled like the rabbit, H-A-R-E. And 2 teachers' assistants, Becky and William. William is the incredibly cruel, vicious psychopath with huge, hairy arms who tortures us and does terrible things to us whenever we're alone. Oh, did that get your attention? I'm just messing with you. He doesn't really. Actually, William's an incredible guy. He's about 50, and he's really strong and big. He's great. Kind of reminds me of Mr. Longi. Kind of a gentle giant. Big and strong, but very gentle and nice. Once William accidentally broke my arm when I was falling out of my wheelchair. He grabbed me as I was nosediving toward the hard tile floor. He didn't want me to crack my skull, so he grabbed me, catching my arm at the wrong angle. I was in the middle of a seizure when it happened, but I came into my body pretty fast when that bone snapped. Of course, that was a big deal. Incident report, and William had to answer a lot of questions, but he never treated me any differently than he always had. He was just as nice as always. He's not afraid of us. Becky's great too. She has red hair, long and soft. She's only about 20, and her body's gorgeous, and she's super nice. I love it when Becky works with me. But if I could be William, I'd spend every hour of every workday trying to figure out how to get a date with Becky. William would at least have a chance. I don't. I mean, he speaks the same language as Becky, and he can walk around and smile, and do all those necessary things, you'd figure the guy would have at least a chance. But I've never seen anything weird going on between the two of them. For some reason, that makes me like William even more. And Mrs. Hare, she's an older teacher lady, like reading glasses. Oh, I have reading glasses. Hanging on the end of her nose. Oh, now I can't read. Okay. She always looks like she's just got back from a walk on a windy day. Sort of like that. She's nice, patient. I am patient. A little boring. I don't think I'm boring, but very caring. I don't like her quite as much as I like William and Becky, but she does a good job running the show. And what a show it is. I'm making all this sound normal and sane. Mrs. Hare and William and Becky, they're fine. But that's where the normal ends. The zoo is not like any other schoolroom you've ever seen. And although we're located on Shoreline High School, we're not really a part of it. First of all, remember that we students are all different. We moan, we drool, we smack ourselves in our heads, we take headlong swan dives into the floor, we eat dirt and eraser dust and hunks of old crayons and chalk, anything actually that we can get into our mouths. And those of us who can walk, well, they walk in walls and doors and one another. And those of us who can't walk just sit around all day long. Teachers call this vocalization. And when you've got half a dozen teenaged vocalizers all making a noise at once, it's unbelievable. In order to qualify to be in our class, you have to demonstrate a lack of continence, meaning you can't control your expulsion. In other words, you can't even go to the bathroom by yourself. And the smells in the room are pretty amazing. Lysol meets the pig pen. I'm pretty sure I'm the only secret genius in our group. Pretty sure, but you never know. It probably sounds like I think I'm better than the others. And maybe I sound a little mean to talk about them this way. Well, I absolutely don't think I'm better. And I don't think there's some kind of, ranking in our classroom with one on top and the others below. Is a dolphin better than a racehorse? A sandwich better than a sidewalk? An apple better than a whatever? Words just stand for the things they are and for what people mean them to stand for. Putting us in baseball caps and Reebok high tops and teaching us to connect bolt A to nut B, to count back change, to stack plastic-covered packages of pork chops, none of these things is going to make us normal. Making us try to copy normal people's values, habits, hobbies, and traits isn't going to change the fact that we are not normal folks. We are different. We are different. We're slower than most. That would be the whole class of human beings who are only slow because normal people try to make everyone do things in the same way and at the same pace. I actually enjoy the weird irony of the fact that I'm considered the dumbest kid in my class. Most of the others can talk a little, some can walk a little, and all but me communicate at least a little bit. One guy, Jimmy, walks around saying honey all the time, and several kids are able to ask for cookies. Another guy, Alan, he constantly says winky over and over. Our classroom looks like a torture chamber. Of course, there's all these useless standard school stuff. Pictures of presidents, big alphabet letters, maps, a chalkboard, a closet, Kleenex. But if you look a little closer, you can't help but notice the number of leather straps on odd, rack-looking wooden contraptions, soft cords. They're used to hold kids in place. Beanbag chairs, a large couch mysteriously stained, and a wide variety of bizarre objects used for educational purposes. My school, I'm proud of it. Fight on, the mighty Spartans. Oh, they're called Spartans. I like that. Isn't that Bell? Isn't Bell High School the Spartans? I'm not sure. I was having a pretty good morning yesterday until my dad showed up with a video camera from Channel 7, the local PBS station. That's like our Channel 13. Although I'm sure my dad would have preferred to talk with Becky, he walked into the room and over to Mrs. Hare. He introduced himself and they chatted. It looked like Mrs. Hare had been expecting them. She smiled and he smiled, and my classmates and I drooled. The tall cameraman guy with a beard who had come in with Dad began setting up his video camera. And Dad glanced around the room and then started a little testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Routine into his microphone. He walked over to me and patted my head. Remember, that's something Sean does not like. And then bent over and kissed my cheek. Is that where you want to shoot? The cameraman asked. Sure, Dad answered. Is our sound right? Cameraman asked. Yep, my dad answered. Well, we're rolling, the cameraman said. Okay, Dad said, and he took a deep breath. Hello, he said, holding the microphone in front of him, looking straight into the camera. I am Sidney McDaniel, and this is my son, Sean. Sean is profoundly developmentally disabled, and I'm here with him today at his school. You might not be aware of it, but your tax dollars to the tune of $35,000 a year in services, staffing, special equipment, and a wide variety of additional expenses are used to support each and every child like Sean in programs designed to educate. That's $35,000 per child per year, year in and year out. If educating sounds a little too hard for you, well, that's exactly why we're here today at Shoreline High School. We've come to visit my son and honestly examine just what your money is buying. I sat listening and remembering Dad's words in the background. I could hear winky, 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 and and honey, honey, honey. William came into my sight, and he looked angry. Dad continued, well, none of us would disagree with the noble intentions of the State Department of Education and the Seattle Public School District that each and every child deserves an education designed to help that child achieve his or her greatest level of accomplishment and potential. The fact is that our schools, your schools, are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a year making sure that children who simply cannot learn are being taught. Why are we teaching children who cannot learn? Is it really worth the allocation of resources presently deployed to help a 14-year-old kid master tying his shoes and spelling cat when such tasks require hundreds and hundreds of hours of individual teacher time? And even worse, how exactly do we justify the price we pay in energy and resources for our child like Sean, who will never tie his own shoes, or speak, or understand the word cat, much less spell it? Now think about that for a minute. Is that true? Does Sean understand the word cat? Can Sean probably very easily spell the word cat? Sure he can. It's just the people around him don't know that because he can't communicate that to them. So keep that in mind while we're listening to his dad. You have to agree, Dad made some interesting points. Remember, in the eyes of the world, based on proven scientific methods for judging such things, I'm an idiot. I'm a moron. My classmates aren't exactly on track for careers in nuclear physics or brain surgery either. My dad turned slowly toward me and then gazed back into the camera. If we cannot educate kids because they are uneducable, and we will not simply warehouse them in shoddy group homes or huge impersonal, neglect-prone institutions, doesn't it ask the question, what do we do? I wish I had a simple answer for such questions. We all wish we had simple answers to our complex questions. Yet the truth is there is no simple answers. There are only complex answers to complex questions. Right there was when my seizure hit. It came on right when my dad and me were in front of the camera looking all cozy, lovey, father and son like. Right then, crackle, 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 swoosh. Red light, bluer light. Laughter, muscle contractions, a slow spin of the room, spirit rising out of my body. And while I don't usually remember many details of reality during seizure times, I do remember parts of this one. Dad stopped talking when he heard me laughing. He turned and looked into my eyes, and he saw the seizure grabbing me. Of course, I felt happy, as I always am when a seizure hits, but I caught glimpses of his face, his mood, as I drifted away. He looked sad and disappointed because I was having a seizure, and I couldn't make out all of what he said, but bits of his speech came through. And what of our children who suffer unbearable pain? Doesn't to love them, if we really love that child, shouldn't we, and if no hope, shouldn't someone end his pain? And that's how Sean was hearing the rest of what his dad was saying. He was only hearing bits and pieces of it. My spirit floated near my dad and me, and I listened as well as I could, trying to pay attention. But in another moment, my spirit was unable to resist the temptation to cruise over and look at Miss Becky, to lick the vanilla cookies in the open bag on Mrs. Hare's desk, and to soar out to the playground and play slalom between the posts of the swings and the metal poles of the basketball backboards. I know, I'm irresponsible. I should have tried to stick around and listen to the rest of Dad's PBS special. I should have stuck around. So sue me. I'm 14 years old. And for some reason, flying and slaloming and cookie licking, that seemed like a much better idea. When I came back into my body, Dad and the cameraman were already packing up their gear. Show was over. I felt a little bad about missing it all, and then I remembered what my dad had said, end his pain. Now this is where Sean is getting all this about, he thinks his dad wants to do him in, you know, because he heard his dad say he wants to end his pain, which to Sean that means he wants to get rid of him. But, you know, what does that mean for his dad? It may literally mean he just wants to end his pain. So, I heard that phrase not so long ago, that day with the crow. At that time, it had made me nervous, but I tried to forget about it. And now hearing it again so soon, I got the picture. In another few moments, Dad walked away toward the door, and as he reached the door handle, he glanced back over his shoulder one final time. I happened to be looking directly at him, and there was something in his expression that I'd never seen before. A look in his eyes that I can't even describe. All I know is I felt a chill, as though a sudden gust of cold air was blowing through the room. In my pain? It made me mad. What right does he have to decide what's best for me? What right does he have to think about ending my pain? He's never even around me. Dad is only talking now. But how long before he does more than just talk? Okay, that's the end of chapter 7. So that's 6 and 7. I think this is really interesting. This is it. I mean, it's a good book. It's good for us to refresh ourselves when we see people who are handicapped and disabled. That, you know, a lot of times nothing is wrong up here, nothing at all. They understand everything we're saying. They're, you know, probably very smart, and they're, you know, so we just need to be careful how we judge people that are different from us. They don't have to be severely handicapped, but just people that are different from us. They're coming from a completely different place than we are. So we need to be thoughtful of that. And I think it's also a good book because it's, Sean is reading everything one way. And then you and I are seeing things maybe in a different way. And so that's it. Sorry, that's my dog Gus again. So I think that's good for us too, to remember that people don't think the same, and what I say may not necessarily be what you're hearing. You know what I mean? We've talked about that before in our class, that the way you say things and sometimes what you say can be interpreted very differently by different people. So, good lesson. Might be a little sad story, but I think it's going to be good things in here for us to learn. Okay, so watch 5 and 6. No assignment. And tomorrow, we'll see. Probably record maybe one more chapter for tomorrow. And then Monday, quiz. Friday, don't do any schoolwork. Enjoy your Good Friday before Easter, okay? All right. See you guys later. Bye.